Hello Last Nurse community, it's Chris Kobe again. In this video we will be adding another video to the series of the bases I've rated, and this particular base is for player 9012. The first thing we do right when we get into the map is check if they have a chopper and check the truck. The chopper is usually by where the truck is, so we see he doesn't have a chopper. We go inspect the truck like just mentioned. We go around the entire base, see what they have. I advise people not to do a base like this, and what I mean by that is don't do bases that have windows on the parts that we can see, towards the inside of the base. And even with him, we see that there's a couple chests. It looks like a player that's abandoned their base because this part right here was not fixed, that wall that's broken down already. And then we continue to inspect the rest of the base. You don't want to give away anything like, oh yeah, he has these chests around here, and sometimes people can even see, oh, be like, yeah, since he has chests there, it's most likely not a honeycomb base. I even noticed there's a level 4 wall there, which gives me a good hunch that this is probably going to be a good base, and that's why I end up grabbing my C4 from the coin inventory that we have there. I do end up deciding to go in the place I was already broken into, because I think I'm like, hey, if we already got a little bit of a leeway there, then we're just going to break in further deep to make this most effective. In case it was a honeycomb base, then at least we got a little bit more inward. Here we open up the entire base. He didn't have any extra layers of walls, which is really nice. We checked the acid bath, we checked the chopper. We said he has 4 engine parts. He did end up having the tank. We started opening some of these chests here. We'll quickly see what he has available. Initially, what I was doing is I was doing some oohs and ahs because I saw that gun oil. And I was like, oh yeah, woo, that's really exciting to see gun oil, because it gives us some promise again that this is already starting to be a little bit better of a base than what we normally get. We speed up this part right here as I'm just killing the zombies. One thing that I do is I started getting hungry, so I don't use my bandages since I brought carrots with me. You want to make use of those carrots, so make use of them fully, by healing yourself up and taking care of your hunger as well. Then we also open up a slot to bring something else with us too. Now, since we open up this box and that triggered the wave to come, we go back and inspect, make sure we didn't get anything. I check these patterns, and I see they're not any one of the rare ones. It's just the blue and the bloater, so I don't end up grabbing them. I go inspect the rest of the chests just to kind of get a rough count in my head to see if I'm going to be able to open all of them up, and just inspect what kind of chests they are. Like here, I'm noticing that these are the level 2 chests, not just a little basic box. So I'm checking the workbenches too, just analyzing the area. You want to do this sometimes even though you've already broken into the base, just to execute your best plan here. One of my tools was broken, so it opens up another slot. I get really excited too about the 20 gas we find here. Some battery parts as well there, wrenches. So this base did end up having a few more useful things. The springs. I was really needing iron bar, so I was like, heck yeah, I'll take that to iron bar as well. Going on to the next chest here as well. Has a full durability hat, so we end up taking that just because there's nothing really better for the time being. And I think this one's the jackpot. Yes, it is. It's weapons, and I get really excited about that because it's been a while since we've seen a base that has that. Now we speed up through the wave. We try to kill the fast biters first, because since they're faster, you can make them, come at you quicker, and then you kill them. That way you're not standing there and taking hits from the big ones. We do kite the big ones since we move faster and we attack faster. It allows you to get an extra hit, so you're not just standing there again and taking hits from them as well. Now we go back into the base, but I do recall that there was those guns there, but I didn't have any space for them, so I think I'm like, oh yeah, I got to start making room back in my base. I point out that the numbers there are really huge. Your hunger and thirst meters, for some reason those numbers are expanded. I put the gas in the gas slot just to open up an extra slot as well. Here I put batteries because they're the high count. You would hate to put something that's a low count, like those 2 iron bars, and then you end up finding more iron, which I think I eventually do. And we go back to open up more chests. We obviously don't want to forget the gun, so we go and grab those really quick. Continue to open up more chests. Another tool break, so another slot opens, which is really nice. This ended up being an empty chest, so not much to commentate on there. Now I'll open up the bigger chest too, because you usually know that since they have more slots, you're thinking that it's more of a probability that they'll have more items, or at least a better chance for you to get more items. Now here I start to analyze, I start thinking, once I finish opening up these bigger chests, I want to start from the bottom up, and I'll explain a little bit later why I do that. Now we get an extra 2 gas tanks as well. I think I end up making another trip. Like I said, I found a couple more iron bars, so I take those as well. Nails are kind of hard to get, so we end up grabbing those nails too. We want to grab materials that are difficult to get. Oak is pretty decent too. And as the last wave comes in, there's not much to analyze besides that it has 3 toxic abominations. As you notice here, the metal pipe breaks, so that then I have to resort to my pistol to killing these. You rarely ever want to do this, because I've mentioned time and time again, we can always craft melee weapons, but we can't always craft guns. Even though I have a few guns back at home that have silencers on them, you don't necessarily want to be using those when you can easily be using a melee weapon. It's not the worst idea to bring a gun that has a silencer in case you get in a bind like this. I mean, I could have easily taken those guys with a melee weapon, but we go back to our chopper just to reorganize some things. I haven't put a couple cans more into the tank, even though I didn't get the full use of that last tank, but it does open up an extra slot so I can bring more items as well. Now we go back to these chests that we already opened. Make sure I have the best items that we're taking back. We open up another chest, see what this has. A couple stacks of 20 pine planks, so we definitely want to grab those since those are always really useful. I'm debating here. I'm kind of counting up the numbers because I noticed that my meter's starting to get high, and I want to open up as many chests as I can in the most effective way. I open up that bottommost chest because it's furthest away from the door. So when I open up the last couple chests, I want to be so that they're closer away from the door. That way it gives me enough time to get away when the big one comes. Here I even start preparing both of these chests so that we can open both of them really quickly, because as you see, my meter's already at 94, and if we open one of them, it's going to come to 100. You don't want to have to do extra things like open up a chest that you haven't taken any swings at it, because it takes about 3 or 4 hits depending on the axe that you're using, and that's why you prep chests so that you only have one hit left to go. And right before we come in, we go and inspect all the other boxes, make sure we haven't left any items that are really valuable. I think I don't end up eating those last 2 carrots, so that was a little bit of a mistake on my part. You kind of want to slow it down. Sometimes I am in a rush for whatever reason, and I don't end up noticing little things like that. We'll see if I did end up eating those 2 carrots, but for right now, just going back, double checking all the chests right before the blind one comes, because right before he comes is the time that you've opened up more chests than any other time, right? When it's earlier in the raid, you've only opened up a few chests. You're maybe grabbing all the better items that you have, but here's where you want to go back and check everything. Be like, okay, I have the highest counts here, the most valuable stuff, the materials that I'm needing the most at, and I start organizing my thing. I do end up eating the carrots, thankfully, okay, so I didn't make that mistake. What I started explaining here is you want to grab items that are the least valuable to you and put them in the right side of your backpack. The reason being is it doesn't take you as long to drag them in case you end up opening up a chest and you find something that's valuable. Then you can really click on it when it's on the right side and drag it over to the box and then grab something else new. Whereas compared to what I just did to the watches, since the watches are on the left side more part of my backpack, then it's going to take me longer to drag those watches to the box and grab something new. That's why you want to leave your least valuable items to the right. That way you can drop them off really quick, click them, drag them, switch them over to the item that you want to grab, and you're taking the best items with you. Now here we finally get to opening the chest after we prepared all that. Like I said, it only takes 1 hit once you've prepared them a couple weeks. I didn't notice any really good items besides the camera and the second chest, but the big one obviously comes, and since it was the second chest we opened, we have to initially kite him away. Now notice I kite him to the left side uppermost part of the map because my chopper is in the bottom side of the map, so therefore it's going to take him quite a bit longer to get back to me if I kite him all the way up to the top. If I were to kite him, and I've done that a couple times where I'm just like panicking and I leave the map right where my chopper is, if I try to spawn back in to try to get one last item like I do here with the camera, he's going to spawn right in my chopper right where I left him. I even decide to do the dog crate glitch where if you stand still for a little bit and he freezes, he'll jump at you, teleport you like that. I feel that's the best plan to do to go get the camera. I mentioned before, I put the 3 pine planks all the way to the right just so I can switch them off really quick, and then we end up calling it a raid. Looking back, I would rate this a 7 out of 10. The reason being is obviously the guns. We got nails that are pretty hard to craft. We got the gun oil that's always useful to upgrade guns. We got the batteries, and that gives us a chance at getting copper. While it may not be directly steel plates or floppy disks that we got in this raid, it was still definitely worth the C4 that we spend on it. I hope if you guys get this raid, you find this video useful, as towards the end, you notice my bar was at 94, so we had called the big one, and we opened up 2 more chests, and that's when he ended up coming in. So if you don't have to open up those 2 chests, then you don't have to. I mean, it doesn't have to be those particular 2 chests, but you guys noticed that there was a chest where it didn't have any items at all, and one of the other chests only had a tactical hat, so you can get away with not opening them and not having to call the big one, which will give you definitely more time to analyze the stuff that you're going to grab and get the best out of this raid. Thanks. See you guys next time.